What is going on, everybody? Welcome to part 2 of our colonization AI only game, or colonial powers AI only game. We're at turn 195 when the last part ended, and France are just about to grab the city of Vitoria here. I think I've jumped the gun a little bit, but in the next turn or so they should get that done. And then we're also going to reach turn 200 where we'll take another little look at the statistics, probably not as in depth as we did in the last episode. But while we're here, we'll just pass through these turns together before we move into some of the jumps. I am, just to let you know, I know some people will be interested in this, I'm just voting for stuff that I'm 99% sure won't pass. So for example, world religion, Buddhism, I've proposed here. I think I'll probably lose the vote after this anyway, because the city-state civs will become host and things. So the civs that are allied to city-states will become host. But we do have the Dutch v Portugal. Okay, that's not too bad. But yeah, the main focus then, as France grabs this, and the Netherlands complete the Prora wonder, and France also pieces out with Spain. Those two no longer actually really meet each other anywhere on the map. Oh, but I have just spotted the first planes on the map here in Porto. They're the first I've seen. I don't want to commit and say they're the only civ, but I would imagine it would be if the French don't have any. Oh, the Dutch have quite a few. They have another 4 here. The French do not have access to those yet, but there we go. So that's arrived just shy of turn 200. Okay, so turn 200, and I just want to highlight England are now definitely the lead civ in the New World. I think we already knew that on the newer parts of the map. This continent is just like a giant square. It's quite funny how straight some of the borders on this map are. It's all random, but it's quite funny. Bristol, Leicester, though, both new cities. There's a settler heading into this area here as well, and I think there's another one. Yeah, there's another one here as well. But I did see a Spanish one also beginning to make the journey. I mean, there's still multiple options for this settler. It might be actually heading south based on where it is now and where it would have started. So, not so sure on that one. That might be heading down here, to be honest. But we will see. But what I am going to do is take a quick peek at the stats. Again, less in depth. I might actually use the graphs, to be honest. I think that might be easier because we're going to do some less in depth looking. The Dutch, this is just score, not super important, but it's a good overall measure, I guess. It does have the Dutch currently out up front ahead of the French. That was a bit closer in recent times, and there's been a bit of a Dutch jump. Then you've got Spain in third, England with a bit of a jump recently. I'm guessing that would have been the capture of Lisbon. Probably from a score perspective, that weights quite highly, pulling them up into fourth. And you can see the Portuguese, I mean, they have been struggling for a while, sort of stagnating, and then yeah, losing their capital would have inflicted more damage, and obviously they would have lost things such as wonders and other items that would have transferred over to England. And you can almost see England go up, Portugal go down at the same time. Military, an interesting one. Look at the Dutch. They were so low for so long because they were just grinding it out with Portugal, and now all of a sudden they've had some peace and they have risen to number 1. Meanwhile, the other 3 neck and neck. That's why I don't want to go into this too much. Let's have a quick look. What other one? Net gold is still important. The Dutch lead the way ahead of the French, the Spanish, and the English. Don't need to look at all of these. Science output, the Dutch kind of hit a peak, sort of slowed. Well, France is still growing, although they have just slowed down. But England has sort of started to skyrocket past. They were pretty much like the same as Spain for a good period here, but they've now gone on past them. I don't know how much of that is to do with Lisbon, to be honest. There might be some rationalism playing a part in there if they've picked that policy as well. Jump to 2, culture. Dutch again, they were up and then it dropped. I think some of this is influenced, I think, by the World's Fair and the Netherlands possibly getting like a double, because that's quite hectic. But France has also risen, and they're now actually pretty much dead equal right there. I think France is just ahead on my eyesight. Spain and England on the climb as well in recent times. That's culture. Tourism, the Dutch pretty dominant. Great works, again, pretty Dutch heavy. Wonders, again, Dutch. So that's fairly interesting there. The one thing that didn't really show is overall technologies, so I just want to go and double check those. And military side. No, it did show that. Yeah, so the Netherlands now have a 5 tech lead, even on the French, which is pretty big, and I'm guessing that is driven by possibly Dutch rationalism at 4. Now, France has gone down that path. England has not. Portugal started it, but Spain definitely hasn't gone down it, and neither England. So France might catch up again, but I guess they've both also got their ideologies to be going for. But it does seem like the Dutch doing very well at the moment, which is quite interesting. England captured a city-state. There it is. Tyre has fallen. That was pretty interesting. I wasn't particularly focused on that. I was just sort of watching Portugal, keeping an eye out for what was going on. But there you go. England continuing to add cities. That was another thing that wasn't shown. I am imagining cities. Yeah, England actually has 6 more. They have double what the Dutch have. The Dutch actually the lowest of everyone, excluding Portugal, who are now getting, I believe, aerially bombed, which is not what you want. But yeah, England, I think, and that might explain some of that tech increase as well. They've chopped a lot of it down. There is some jungle out here. But yeah, England, they could still come back in this game with quite a bit of force if they avoid, getting taken out too early on. Because at the moment they do have about a 10 tech advantage. I think they were conquering Lisbon with their longbowmen, which they still have in some areas. And obviously you can see the Dutch Great War Infantry, Great War Bombers, lots of different units. So we'll see how this goes, and we'll see if Portugal survive. They had 2 settlers out there. This one is running the gauntlet, because obviously the Dutch could kill them, but they're trying. And there is another one tucked away here within Portuguese territory. French catching on to England's growth in the new part of the world, and with 2 cities of their own. And I believe there is a Dutch settler or 2 on its way over. There's a couple here, and you can also see Spanish settlers now. So it looks like the race for territory is certainly going to heat up. England definitely have an advantage with 4 cities towards the north and another settler, and also 4 cities clustered here towards the centre. But the south still very much open. You have Malacca and Bogota down here, but no one else. And I don't know how true that is, but there is ancient ruins here. It is possible that England just unfortunately haven't explored that. The same with one here, and down here, and down here. It seems unlikely, but it's very possible that those are still there, or it might just be sort of a graphical thing. I'm not 100% on that. It was kindly explained to me why we're not getting barbarians in the last comment section, down to me being able to see the map, but I'm not 100% sure if this is something where, again, it's just visual and it's not actually there. And there it is. The Dutch walk in to the city of Coimbra from the Portuguese. England also peace out at the same time, probably just because they can't get to Portugal anymore and connect it. That does leave Portugal with 1 city. I don't know if the Dutch will continue for the kill here. I also just saw Spain did not leave the continent in the end. They just settled their 2 cities up in this corner. I'm sure the French and Dutch will love that, but there is Dutch settlers definitely on their way across. We'll see how far they get, or where they go for. There's also a Spanish city here, but I think that was here for a bit longer. There is already carriers and submarines off the Dutch north coast. Would not want to be dealing with them. Even someone with a navy like England will be struggling against those kinds of units. And there it is, Spain and England. Sorry, well, it is England and Spain. England and the Netherlands teaming up on the Spanish. This could be big. The other 4 have lived in relative peace, and now they're fighting each other. So immediately, where's it gone? Palma was taken. That's not a surprise, by the Dutch, and England is seeking to take back Dover, which they lost, and that's within a turn. So Spain already feeling the pressure, but they do have plenty of units around. I think, yeah, they could cause England some problems on land. England is primarily a naval empire, so this could be quite interesting. And yeah, the Dutch continuing their siege of Leiria. And there it is, Dover falling into England's control, which removes Spain's coastal capabilities on the west of the original continent. I guess they technically, I know, even Asturias is landlocked by ice. Okay, I've not seen this in a while. Zurich was part of the attack on the city of Valladolid of Spain with the Dutch, and they managed to take it. So we now have a double city-state, which is pretty cool. I think I've seen it obviously I didn't used to use the city-states that often in the previous AI games, but That's pretty rare, and normally it only happens when I like defend a city so badly that a city-state manages to sneak in there. But there we go. It's pretty cool. They are now technically bigger than Portugal in this game, so that's fun. Oh, we do have a new Dutch city in the New World as well, Almere here as well, which gives them a nice little cut through. Avoid sailing all the way around here if they wanted to, but as you can see, England, plenty of more new cities in the region as well. The Dutch have also grabbed this northern island. When you see names like this beginning with an apostrophe, you do start to worry that we're going to start seeing some blank names. It's coming. And another ideology is all going on before I even cut to the next highlight. England have adopted autocracy, which I believe is again joining the Dutch nation. The AI is then proposing now, not me, to the World's Congress, the Netherlands going to embargo the city-states. That's pretty limiting when you only have 4 civs and some of them are at war with each other. That could have a big impact on trade. And then Spain wants to ban copper. Spain has lost their southern island city of Asturias to the English, so they continue to add more cities as the Netherlands enter the atomic era. Lovely. Just what the other civs need to know. And also the embargoing of city-states passed, which means Spain can only have caravans and they won't be able to trade with anyone at the moment, because I believe, yeah, England and the Netherlands won't be options, and if they do trade with the French, they will get pillaged instantly. Netherlands do have this tiny Spanish city, but it does come with the Barringer crater, so 1 population desert. I mean, that's kind of the best you're going to get in that situation. Grabbing the Barringer crater with it, which will give them a little bit more science. Not that they needed any more, but a little bit more. Oh, and just like that, Spain pretty much, I mean, with 4 artilleries and their air force, which is sort of located in the... Oh, and this is a new city as well. But just like that, boom, they take over this city in like 1 turn. It was healthy, full health, bang, gone. That is pretty menacing. England's starting to build up an air force too, which means they can threaten more Spanish cities as well. Spain actually now does have planes too. I also noticed something there, and now I've gone mind blank. What? There was something I wanted to say. What was it, George? Come on, think. It's in there somewhere. Yeah, this. I was going to say this before I saw England and Spain with planes. I was going to say it's quite impressive that the Dutch have anti-air guns before their enemies have planes, but they do now have planes. France also has a couple sporadically placed. Looks like the Netherlands may also just grab this city this turn if they're lucky. It won't be complete elimination because complete kills is on. There's probably some Portuguese units lurking about out there. There we go, the Dutch get the job done. Peace out with Portugal, which means they will sort of be just a few random units hovering around the map for the rest of time, but that is Portugal eliminated, and the Dutch do lose Logrono, at least for now. I think they'll probably get that back relatively easily here, although Spain's air force is now here in Santander, and Zaragoza also taking a pounding from the English air force. More settlers making the dash to the New World. I always start speaking at the worst time, but they are making the dash. I'm like, I'll see something, look away, come back, but they are here. There's Dutch and French settlers continue. I thought there was another one. Where'd it go? No, one of each. But there is now a second Dutch city here, and the Dutch going for the southern part of the continent. I don't see much more from England at the moment. They generally come this way for obvious reasons. But yeah, France. Oh, and France have a nearby settler as well, so they are also expanding their new territories, and it looks like Spain won't really be involved in this race. Now, they haven't lost anything else yet. Sort of, oh my goodness, there is Dutch rocket artillery on the front line, and I see the battleship there at the top as well. So that's pretty impressive, and Spain's sort of final military units currently holding England out of Zaragoza here. But while we're here, guys, just quickly mid-video, if you could leave a like and a comment down below if you're enjoying the action, and be sure to subscribe as well if you are new to the channel. It would be much appreciated. And also, just because I'm coming back from a long time away really from doing videos, Do let me know if you have any feedback, what you'd like to see, or things that might improve the videos, and yeah, that would be much appreciated. And within one turn, that seems a bit harsh, but it was within one. Oh, it's gone back again. But Spain just rocked up a couple of rocket artilleries. Sorry, not Spain, the Dutch, with these units, and from the south, some rocket artilleries. Within one turn of starting the siege, took Santander. I'm guessing they will take it back again this time around. I think Spain might have got their planes out just in time, which is good. But yeah, this should go Dutch again. England's turn is taking a while, which does suggest might be up to something. They're trying to get close, but Spain is throwing every unit they can to defend this city. I think they're less worried about some of these smaller ones, as there you see Santander again falling under Dutch control. And if they quickly, yeah, they don't lose at that time, and it looks like these units, which are not so good from the south as these ones, but will still be playing a part, will start to push towards Valencia. And Spain, they do have plenty of planes. They've churned them out, so that is one thing going their way. I'm surprised Toledo has held on as long as it has, to be honest, because the Dutch and now the British fleet very present in this northern sort of Arctic Ocean. What would you name these continents? Let's have some name suggestions. We've done that before on random maps. We've got the main continent with all the civs on it, and then we have this sort of split continent, which will have like a south and a north and a central section, kind of like the Americas. We couldn't quite have a canal the whole way through. Oh, you could have done if you settled. Oh no, I don't think you can, because only one tile places here and here. Is that two? That might be the only possibility, or here and up here. You'd have had to use two cities for it, but England didn't do that, so you have to travel the long way round. Although I guess up north here you can go round, and England will control that strait eventually, depending on where these other settlers that are just sort of coming over in heavy numbers now end up. Another French city right here to get around that Dutch canal city. Oh, never mind, I jinxed poor old Toledo. It didn't last too long after I said that, like 1 or 2 turns. But that falls to the Dutch. I don't know if that will change the war too much. The main focus is definitely on Valencia and Zaragoza at the moment, and England, oh, very close. They may get this in the coming turns. They're starting to keep some infantry close by, and we'll see if the Dutch get Valencia here, or closing in. There apparently is now a barbarian. At the end of that turn, it did just show up with a processing term for barbarians very briefly. Is there somewhere we can't see anymore? I'm a bit lost, but it is whatever. England did get their units destroyed, so they don't take Zaragoza just yet, and I think the Dutch are in a similar position, but that might not matter for too long if they keep completing things like the Manhattan Project. Oh, I think this should be it. There's a Lancer in position for England. Yep, there we go. England finally gets a hold of the city of Zaragoza, and I feel like Spain, I feel like they might just capitulate here. I think that might be the turning point. I might be wrong, but the Dutch just entered the information era. Okay, that's scary. It's turn 245. They don't quite get Valencia, but I think this could really, yeah, Spain I don't even think will respond. Oh, they just about managed it. This unit really gave it everything. But yeah, England should take it straight back now and hold it, and that should be it really. And then I think the Dutch, again, maybe not, just a lack of a road in the right place. But this is looking rough for the Spanish Empire at the moment. And there it is, Zaragoza falling to England for the second time. We'll see if they hold it this time. Spain still have to have their turn, but as you can see, France does, you know, they've kind of been silent in the corner in this game at the moment, but they have completed the Manhattan Project now. They're in second in terms of that race, and then they also grabbed the Kremlin at the same time, so they're pumping out the wonders. And then Zaragoza returning to Spain, and the Dutch also not having much progress around Valencia. So Spain putting on big defense, but it seems Barcelona is coming under a bit of problems now from the coast and from the Dutch Air Force as well. So we'll see if they can hold, because that's another very important city. It would have been their second city, I believe, as England this time does get the quick retake, and I think that might be the time that they finally hold. We will see. I don't think the Dutch can still not get to Valencia. England is actually kind of just having a look around. Just having a poke, seeing if they can get in there. We'll see who it ends up falling to. So it finally happened. Valencia falling for the first time into Dutch hands. And Spain sort of backed off. Obviously they go last of the 3 civs. So that's interesting. They are still giving England trouble in the west. But look how many planes Spain have. They are putting up a very good defence. But it looks like the Dutch rebuilt this army and sent them in, which is going to cause problems. I did note as well, I've not used any yet, and this is the only one I can see, but there is a nuclear missile on the border basically of Spain at the moment, so I'll keep an eye on that as we keep going. But yeah, Spain putting up a valiant defence so far. And there we go, the Dutch, oh wow, they are just bulldozing their way through now, grabbing Salamanca, although Spain will briefly take control, but they also take Cordoba down to half health, and Barcelona is now for the first time in sight of some melee units. So next turn there's definitely the potential for 2 cities to fall, and probably 3, all 3 over the next couple of turns, and the Dutch also just maintain their tech lead with that great firewall. But we'll see what goes down this turn. England seems to have be happy with what they've got, although okay, there you go, they are starting to push for Murcia, which does have a big portion of Spain's plains. I think they lost like 6 here. I don't see any fallout though, so I'm not sure how they lost those. Oh, they would have been 6 in the city when it fell, I think. And there we go, the Dutch do grab Salamanca again. Spain may yet take that back one more time, but those will take units away from defending Murcia, so they'll have to be considerate if they do that. And Barcelona and Cordoba now very much in the Dutch line of sight for the next few turns. England's turn. Oh, they close in on Murcia. France declares... Oh, okay, that changes things. We'll look at that in a sec. Let's just focus on this turn for a second. They have minimal border territory, France and England, so we'll see how that's going to affect things. Interesting move by the French. Okay, there we go. So Barcelona does not fall just yet, but Cordoba is now also Dutch. So Spain, oh, they get it back briefly, but they are starting to crumble. But France, I mean, there's borders down here in the south where France will probably have an advantage, but Britain just has so many boats, or England have so many boats. You'd expect it to help, although a lot of them are fairly old. England obviously has this southern island that has some units that can be deployed quickly in the south, and then there is the New World as well, where France certainly seems to have the military advantage over England out this way. So France do take the first city off England in Portsmouth here in the New World, which was pretty easy for them. It's been 2 turns, but England still making gains in their main war. They did grab Murcia, and I think they're going to hold on to that now, and are still pushing forwards. Spain nearly got that back, but not quite. And as you can see, the Dutch, I think, will land Barcelona in a turn or so now, and then we'll probably have their sights set on Madrid. Okay, England responds, and they actually conquer a French city in Funchal, and then also briefly retook Portsmouth, although France does now retake both of those cities. So England still posing a threat. There was also an attempt here for a paradrop attack that might still work on Lisbon. It's pretty big. And then there it is, the Dutch finally get their hands on the city of Barcelona as well. And we have peace between Spain and the Netherlands. The Netherlands conquering Seville and then piecing out for Santiago and Jane? I'm not really sure how to pronounce that one. But that does leave Madrid, and England still technically in the war. Spain very much eliminated, I guess, from contention for the top 3 here. I mean, they might just get it if they survive long enough, but yep. And that sends all the action then really is now England versus the French at the moment. Lisbon was restored by England. France has got Funchal, so no change in these borders from how it started. So I think Portsmouth is currently the only city to have actually changed hands and remained so far. But there we go, peace between the Dutch and the Spanish, which does obviously mean the Dutch are now free to set their sights on either England or France if they choose to. And there it is. It looked like it was coming. Netherlands Versus England, there was a ton of units. It's not so bad now, but there was a ton of units around Lisbon, and it's still more than enough to get the job done. The Dutch actually employing the guided missiles, which is pretty rare. They had like 20 of them earlier around here just to bombard cities. But yeah, that's not good. The England-France war was just, it was back and forth. It was these southern cities sort of changing hands and in the New World. And now we have this massive war. So, yeah, I saw it coming. It was definitely looking pretty obvious. They absolutely surrounded Lisbon. And I think this should be a pretty quick win for the Dutch. To be honest, they have twice as many units when I checked a few turns ago. And they are I think they're like 10 techs ahead. So I don't want to kill the illusion. I think this is going to be a big win for the Dutch. I was planning it's turn 285. I was at 300. I was going to say I'm going to go to like just 50 turn intervals just to try and push towards, will we actually get sort of a domination victory winner? And I'll probably stick with that. We'll just do sort of highlights till then. But as you can see, the Dutch, I mean, not so impressive there, but they did conquer some other cities. Murcia here, and Bath fell to Bogota. That is a city-state taking cities off England. I don't know where that is. The problem with these random maps is I have no idea where any of the cities are, but Bath was here. How did Bogota... They're over here. They were prepared. I think England will probably get this back, but they were prepared for that. So yeah, we'll see how this goes. This could also be the first nuclear war. Or, not nuclear war, I guess, because England don't have nukes, but certainly first nuclear exchange. I think a missile could be used as... Oh, they're just taking new cities each time. Pamplona and Kathmandu. And you can kind of see the difference in power, because when England was fighting Spain, it was back and forth a lot of the time. Here, the Dutch are just rolling on to the next city the very next turn. They are very prepared, very strong, and it's almost like they were holding back against Spain with this in mind. So I'll keep you updated on how this goes. So it begins. The siege of London. Doesn't look like it's got many turns to go. Probably only a couple. Nottingham has just fallen. There is XCOM squads just turned up. There's nuclear subs with missiles off the coast. It's almost like a procession. They're just here saying, yep, you're just going to let us walk in or we will use these. Thank you very much. But yeah, that's gone pretty quickly. There wasn't too much defence. England, there was a big battle here between sort of most of England's, I say most, it's all over the map, but England's navy was here putting up a good defence against like a ton of rocket artillery that's now moved on. But it ended up with the Dutch, and there you go, London does fall. So England actually lose their capital before the Spanish, impressively, although England briefly recover London there. I think that's the first city they've recovered from the Dutch. Actually no, they recovered Coventry once, but that was it. But yeah, this should be pretty easy and going forward, depending how much the Dutch want to take. They are both taking cities in the New World, that is France and the Dutch. All of England's cities that remain here, apart from some of these very hastily settled new ones, are on low health. Certainly down here, probably see France and the Netherlands picking up more and more of the New World, and then the stage will be set. The only question is, can France build enough, and will the Dutch cap out at technology and France catch up enough to give them any hope? Because it will just become a production battle at the end, which could be interesting, and I don't know who that would go towards, like who would be favoured there. I'm guessing probably the Netherlands, just from what we've seen. Especially if they take all of England as well as all of Spain. They'll be in a very strong... So it's turn 313, 312. There's just two English cities left on the mainland continent now. I have seen Spain also settling some random cities around the map, which is kind of cool. A little bit of a comeback. Leon, I think there's one other one. There's like a one-tile island somewhere. There you are, Almeria. England does still have 3 cities left on the very southern island at the bottom of the map, and they have 3 left at the very top in the New World. I don't know how long those will last. The Dutch have kind of slowed down, to be honest, although this wasn't here a minute ago, and there was a big English navy not that long ago, so probably is going to start soon. We'll see the end of Liverpool and Dover, and then we'll just let it run and see if we get the big one, I guess, between the Dutch and the French. They are still, despite being at war both with England, very cautious of each other. You can see they're very defensively minded. This central, where their borders, this region where all their borders interlink, is just full of units, probably more so than the English front was. And if you look into actual Paris, like the sort of core French territories of this like little diamond of 5 cities, absolutely packed with paratroopers, so it will be pretty rough, and I hope my PC can handle it, to be honest. But France does have a lot of ships, a lot of planes, a lot of good navy. They're certainly going to be contending. But obviously the Dutch would definitely... yeah, it's going to be brutal, to be honest. You're going to have this big battle in the New World as well, where France is probably stronger overall than the Dutch. They just have more stuff out here. So that's got to be something you consider. And Reading has fallen. Where is that? That was another city down here. So there we go, the Dutch continuing to eat away at Britain's cities, and very soon I think Spain will actually end up in 3rd place in terms of number of cities. Okay guys, got some bad news. I tried to make them fight because it was 10-3-50 and they weren't doing it, and the game did not like that, probably to do with the sheer volume of units now covering the map. It just crashed straight away, so we can't see that, and maybe that's why they're avoiding it. Maybe these AIs are aware that they just die because the game crashes. So we'll have a quick look at the stats instead, just to see. I do think the Dutch are probably the winner. We might be surprised. England did sort of get eliminated between the two of them. All the cities have fallen. Spain is still kicking around in Madrid. I believe they're at war with France, or were in the last few turns. I don't know if that's still going on. Did settle some other cities. I've also noticed that the Dutch now have started stealing city names. That looks like that should be Portuguese, for example. That's Spanish. So I think they've burned through all the Dutch names that are built into the game. I'm hoping this is going to open now. This does open. Okay, so as you can see, from the score perspective, dominant Dutch victory. France in 2nd. There's England falling off, and there's Spain surviving. Population, I mean, that's pretty decisive for the Dutch. Crop yield sort of mirrors that. Production mirroring that. Gold the same. Land the same. Military numbers bit closer. Slightly closer. So it would have probably been close. And I think they'll both be at the end of the tech tree or very close now. Social policies, the Dutch about 4 ahead. Happiness. Okay, I don't know what sort of insane mix of modifiers gives you 420 happiness, but they've obviously achieved that compared to the others. That's quite funny. Technologies, yeah, they're both at 80. The Dutch would have been there first, but there we go. Gold per turn. France is losing 1,000 gold per turn compared to the Netherlands, so the Dutch just making all the money. I'm not sure how that works. I guess it's just the Dutch have more, probably have a lot of buildings just producing gold or something, but yeah, that's fair enough. I think city-states are embargoed, but there we go. Cities, okay, that's insane. I did not realise. This is why they won't let me fight. This is pushing like the big map battles on the world map that we do. 98 is insane. France has 67, so what was that? And then if you add the 3, so 170. There's 168 cities on the map, if I'm not mistaken there. That is crazy. Okay, that's why they won't fight. Science output, yeah, pretty same story the whole way through. I think the Dutch deserved winners of this game, which is fair enough. I just wanted to check the World's Congress. I'm pretty sure there's a Catholicism world religion, autocracy world ideology. That's probably playing into the Dutch hands. No trade with city-states. A few things are banned and some extra culture, and yet they're just dominant in votes. They basically just pass whatever they want and reject anything they don't want. Even with, you know, France is relatively paratroopered up, but it's not enough. But that is it for this episode. Let me know if you've enjoyed this sort of mini two-parter style. I think I've not edited this one yet. I'm guessing this one's going to be a bit longer than part 1. I can't really tell. Obviously, it's hard to get the balance right unless you do all of it in one go and then purposely just split it down the middle, which I didn't do for this one. I did the first half, put that out there, and then made the second half. Maybe that's something to think about, but do let me know any recommendations or things you'd like to see. And yeah, please be sure to leave a like and a comment down below. Be sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.